rumor that you are really hired Mr. Stark.
And welcome to another exciting episode of the KLIQ Nation's Comic Book Chronicles. And I am your host for tonight because I forgot to ask one of these fine gentlemen if they wanted to do it. Roddycat. You can find me at Roddycat on Twitter. You can also find me at NewsNerdsNeed on Twitter. Beat this long. I'm gonna say the rest of the spiel so we can just pause when it pause. Okay. CB Caps on Instagram. I've been putting a lot of stuff up there lately, so go check it out. News Nerds Need Reddit. Reddit is back up. Great. It's not talking. It's awesome. Also with me tonight is PCN_Dirt from PC_Dirt, PC Pop Culture Network and Pop Culture Net on Twitter.
Hey. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody.
And also iNeedComics.com, part of PopCultureNetwork.com. Got anything else you starting up or you got going on?
Oh, I've got my fingers in a million pies, but we'll leave that for another day.
Nice. Yeah, I know the feeling. And also with us tonight, the man behind the soundboards, our man in legal, Mr. Agent_70.
What's up, everybody?
What? Wait, what?
Yeah, I know, right? He's been doing this for the last couple of weeks. He gets a custom intro, and everybody else gets the regular one. You see how this goes?
Well, when you're the sound effects guy, I guess you have the ability to do that, don't you?
Totally. Also, Agent_70 on Instagram. You can check him out there. I don't know if you got anything else going on, or you starting up.
That's it.
Okay.
For now.
Well, yeah, for now. We're getting into some stuff. But tonight we are going to start off, as we do every night, by saying the podcast can be found. You thought I was going to skip it, didn't you? On the CSPN podcast network. That's CSPN.us.
Do it today.
Yo. You can also subscribe to this podcast on Google Play and Apple Podcasts, aka iTunes. You can also find us on the Coastal of the SoundCloud link. And of course, as always, you can go to shop.cspn.us and get some swag merch. What in the world was that?
Sorry, my dog's working. Hold on.
Okay.
It's okay.
Yeah. I was like, what in the world? Yeah, but anyway. Shop.cspn.us merch for this show and all the other shows on the network. Go check us out. Get some stuff. It's great. And as we do every week about this time, we are going to go with the comic books of the week. And I believe we said we were going to start off with Avengers #6. These jokers have finally assembled.
Pretty much. And my understanding is that this is like the assembly of the main team, and there's going to be a rotating cast member. And my understanding is that, spoiler alert, mild spoiler alert, it's been spoiled much earlier on, that Doctor Strange is the team member that's going to be rotating out, and someone else is going to be rotating in.
Which, given what we said, like around the first couple of issues with Doctor Strange and presumably T'Challa being out in space, I'm not necessarily saying that has anything to do with that. It kind of makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But also, they were mentioning a certain weapon of a certain other ex-Avenger that I'm kind of curious is going to come back into the fold.
Right. So basically, this is the last issue of this opening arc that involves the Celestials. The Alpha Celestials and the Prime Celestials, and
the host of the attackers.
Right.
They started all this mess.
Right, and there's and they're infected by this brood-like, bug-like race of I forget what they're called, but they're basically the ones who are infecting the Celestials and causing them to die off. and there's a kind of a neat twist that Aaron puts to that. Why the Earth is as special as it is in the grand scheme of things in the universe.
Celestials have a disease, and Earth is the cure.
There you go. There you go. I mean, that's essentially it. That's the twist in a nutshell.
Pretty much. And also, like, I think I said this last issue was like, okay, they blew this arc up kind of, epically. Like, where on earth are they going to go? Like, yeah, they still have the 1 million BC stuff still, they're still going to be fleshing out here and there, it looks like. But I'm like, where are they going to go from here?
Yeah, the next issue features the first Ghost Rider on his flaming woolly mammoth, yes. Which, like, I really haven't been enjoying this story a whole lot, and I was thinking I may, drop this, but the cover of a Ghost Rider on a flaming woolly mammoth may be just enough to keep me for one more issue.
Even
you know what I mean? Like, that's just enough of a gimmick to make.
Even if it is McGinnis, right? And
right? Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this artwork either.
Listen, I've never been that high on McGinnis's work. It definitely has its pros and cons, but in this story where Aaron is just going to town with, what you're, like with some of the blurbs in this, where they're describing what's going on in the universe and how the universe is like shuddering at the fact that the Celestials the Dark Celestials are about to win and beat the Avengers, but it's all in the words. It's not in the pictures. It's not being depicted on the page, because you get a one panel of at the very first page, one panel of the Man-Thing, but the first blurb is, on the moon, the lonely cosmic watcher known as the Unseen strains against his unbearable chains, his eye widening. Where is that on the page, Ed McGinnis?
So obviously that feels like all they're trying to do is like, hey, the people they actually pictured are going to play a part at some point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that also could be Aaron's writing, because he may say panel 1, panel 2, panel 3, panel 4.
Quite possibly. When
he writes it out. But it does that in all the panels. So you've got the Watcher, and then you've got Man-Thing, and they only show Man-Thing. And then the next one, it says Starbrand, and the Great Lord of the Shi'ar Imperium, and it only shows the Shi'ar. We have Jean Grey, and we've got Iron Fist. It only shows Iron Fist. We've got Wakanda, we've got Asgard, and it only shows Asgard. I mean, it just, like, you can blame part of that on McGinnis, drawing these big chunky figures and whatever with the way he does, but part of that's also the writing from Aaron on this, where it's like, why isn't this an 8-panel page? Why is it a 4-panel page? Why is he writing it this way? Because I really don't think Aaron's the type of writer that just like, here's some dialogue, figure out how to put it together on a page. The scripts are panel 1, panel 2, panel 3,
possibly
panel 4.
Matter of fact, yeah, we can go so far as to say that the things they link together in those panels are probably going to be brought up together, because we've already seen, in a sense, Wakanda and Asgard because T'Challa went to Odin in the first place.
It's just my opinion that I think it's the layouts that McGinnis is choosing to put on the page that just totally destroy some of the storytelling in this.
I mean, yeah, like we said earlier, I mean, the art is definitely distracting in a lot of cases, and I feel like I don't know too much about McGinnis and his art as his father.
He usually does these big chunky characters, and it's they did storyline several years ago was Batman, Superman, enemies, and so it was Batman, Superman, Captain Atom, Amanda Waller, all of these big body types,
right, and everyone was walking around like they were flexing.
Right. And so it's like, yeah, every pose was like out of a Muscle magazine where they got some sort of thing on. Well, I'm just standing here. I don't know what you're talking about, type of thing.
But, pythons, exactly.
But it doesn't. It just doesn't work for, like, if you have Iron Man in his Hulkbuster armor, then great. The celestial big robots, it works. But with Ghost Rider, it doesn't really work. And with Thor, it doesn't really work. And, with Captain America, drawn like he's Brock Lesnar, it just doesn't work. So, yeah, like I said, I'm not, I was this close to being like, I'm done. That's it. I'm dropping it. But then I saw the big flaming woolly mammoth. So I got to at least go one more month, see if it's just crazy enough to keep me on for a little while longer.
Yeah, like maybe McGinnis's art would probably be better served on street level folk, or back in the 90s with Liefeld. I don't know.
I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. Like I said, it has its ups and downs because you can definitely see him showing some restraint when he's drawing Doctor Strange. You know, because Doctor Strange is like a lot more like slender and obviously not jacked to the limit, but that's really the extent of the restraint he shows.
But they still have goofy faces. Like if you look at Doctor Strange, a lot of times he just has these weird, goofy, like his eyes are parallelograms. It's just really weird the way he's drawn in a lot of these frames.
I agree.
Yeah. And that aside, though, there was also a weird. Maybe it wasn't the case. It seemed like a weird movie tie-in to the first Avengers in a couple different ways, especially with the Loki part, where actually instead of getting bopped around by Hulk, he gets squashed out, and then just caught it back. I don't know.
Yeah, that probably was intentional.
So,
all right.
But that being said, this was the end of this arc, and we'll see where it goes from here. You guys want to bring up? Actually, here's a curiosity. Bring up Punisher. No, or...
Sure.
Punisher was great.
I like this issue.
I like this a lot.
All right. Thanks for playing.
What's funny is that I like the art a lot, except for the artist's name is Sidransky, I think. And there's a couple of shots of the Punisher himself that I wasn't that happy with. But I thought overall the art was really good, and the story by Matt Rosenberg was really good.
Yeah, the art it definitely has like a darker, gritty feel to it. It uses a lot of like kind of sketchy lines and a lot of kinetic energy going on, especially with all the explosions. And I loved, like, one of the things I love in when they do it in some of these Punisher books is like the explosions, and you just see the guy's face like getting ripped off, and someone getting shot in the head, and it's just like a close up of the head exploding, and like all of this really cool, gory, bloody stuff that you put in there when a guy is shooting rocket launchers at trucks and stuff like that. But yeah, like I they just like rebooted Punisher, redid Punisher, and then they redid him again, and then they redid him again, and then they went to the legacy numbering and they gave him Iron Man armor, and then they finished that and they rebooted again with another #1, and it's like, come on. Yeah, but at least they kept the same writer. So Rosenberg stayed on from the last run to this new #1, so he's still writing, which made me really happy. And I'm reading this and I'm thinking about the fact that we had Black Widow and we had Winter Soldier appear at the end of the last run, and they briefly appear in this one as well, and it looks like they're going to be continuing to tie in. Mm-hmm. So because of that, and because you guys talk so highly about it, I did actually go out and I grabbed the Tales of Suspense miniseries, which is a Rosenberg story.
Right.
So I'm thinking that Rosenberg may be the new Nathan Edmondson. If you remember, for a while he was doing Deathlock and Black Widow and Punisher, and so Rosenberg may now be carving out that little corner of the Marvel universe, and I'm enjoying what he's doing. These are a lot of fun.
Sure, yeah. I like this. Like I said, just my biggest problem was that there would be like a couple of pages of like great money shots of the Punisher's like face, like something that's like a splash page, and I was just disappointed in how he was rendered. But at the same time, there's a great elevator scene in this book where it's like the Raid or like a John Wick type thing, or like straight out of a movie set where it's just like ding, like there's another confrontation that Frank has, and then we go down to the next floor, ding, and something else happens, and it's just really well done.
And there's like a pile of guns and body parts on the floor around him that just keeps growing as he goes floor to floor.
Right. I thought that was
cool. And I think part of why I liked it so much is because I was so skeptical about another reboot, another #1. Like in the last 10 years, we've gone through like Frankencastle and Space Punisher and, all of this, stuff again and again and again, over and over. So another #1, it's like, come on. But it really does flow from the other series. And you can kind of say it makes sense because the last story was the whole War Machine armor.
Right.
And with that being over, this, it does put him in a completely different position. So that storyline, while it's connected, it feels like it's different. So they're kind of treating it more like a bunch of mini series that go together, even though it's the same writer. It all flows together. It'll read as one long story, but chopping it up actually kind of makes sense in the way.
Agreed. What did you think of the story itself, just very quickly?
I mean, just trying to get okay, like Baron Zemo. I love the way that he was drawn. I love the way that he was depicted in this. Like he really, the whole Mandarin being like the mouthpiece for this like terrorist nation that's trying to, come clean.
Yeah, exactly. Become legitimized. Yes.
Right. We could get that fresh start. So I like the idea that it usually you think of Frank Castle as this guy who's fighting drug dealers and pimps and whatever, and they've expanded that story a little bit more because, I mean, it was a little, when he had the armor on, it got big. It got, like Iron Man movie, because obviously he has this giant suit of armor. Well, they have to shrink it back down, but you really don't want him going back to just shooting crack dealers. Like it still needs to have some sort of big, gripping story to it. And so this, I felt it takes kind of a like Jason Bourne, type of idea to it, where you've got more of a, like, I don't want to call him just like an assassin for hire, but he is more of that, sniper assassin type intrigue. And especially if they start folding in Black Panther and Winter Soldier, into this mix. And of course, Nick Fury is always going to be on the fringes trying to fight in, then it makes sense to kind of go for that political thriller type bend to it, instead of it just being him, versus all crime in New York City.
I definitely agree that's, I like this direction. It's definitely much more of, there's more of an international scope to this. It's not street level, but it's still ground level.
Okay. So we want to talk about the big thing that happened, or the quote unquote big thing that happened in this book, or no?
Oh, the spoiler, the spoiler thing?
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll ring the bell. Well, it appears that the Mandarin has bit the big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a key. It appears.
Right.
Because, it's Marvel, it's comics. Unless your name's Uncle Ben, you're not staying dead.
Pretty much. We used to include Bucky in that, but that's long over with.
Or Bill Foster. But yeah, so that was the big thing out of that one. Whether it is going to stick or this is just a red herring or something, we don't know. But yeah, that was that. I'm curious about this book because it's Rosenberg. So I don't know. And I was just looking to see if he was a part of that Marvel Knights thing, and apparently he is. So with what you guys are saying, kind of still go in with this, with all of that. So cool. If we're done with that one, and anybody want to throw out something? Don, I got something.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, then I will throw out. Me and Dave read this. Black Panther #3. Go ahead and get that one.
Okay, so where is this going? Please help me. What is going on with this? We're 3 issues in, and we're just as confused as ever.
So a little context, and I'll keep it brief. So, well, there is a person that is the protagonist of the story that is, we think, is T'Challa. They've basically set it up like he's out in space. We do know from this issue that T'Challa that the Black Panther legacy is there, but we don't know if this is a now thing or if this is something set in the future or whatever the case may be. And this is somebody calling themselves T'Challa, but they don't have their memories, and we don't know whether this is the actual T'Challa or it's some person with, that could be the case where it could be some person, but it's, what they gave themselves the name T'Challa or something. But they're looking for his memories now as of this book, and he's out in space. And at this point, we don't have any reason to believe that it's not the actual T'Challa. But at the same time, as Agent 70 said, yeah, we don't know where this is going because it kind of splits the difference. It's like, okay, I'm a peek over here a little bit, and then I'm gonna peek over here a little bit. Then it just kind of goes into the story where it's like, hey, it's just space, it's kind of Star Wars or type of situation going on. But yeah, I don't know. Like I don't know. I feel like it might be setting up for a swerve, but at the same time, I don't know why, because there's no real reason to do that.
Right. Like I said, we're 3 issues in, and I would really appreciate at least. I understand that Coates has given us clues as to what's really going on here, but I would appreciate a little bit more at this point in, like the opening arc.
Right. And to me, the clues are suggesting that this might not be who we feel it is.
Right. And ultimately, there's only so much goodwill he can spend on this before he starts losing interest in some of the readers.
Yeah. It is worth noting that at the end of this issue, he brings back a potential person that's in, well, we don't know this for certain, but it seems like there was a person that was slightly prominent in the last run of the book that is here as an antagonist. So I don't know. That's weird. But then again, if you've read the last 3 issues, then you would see, well, some things aren't as they seem to be in cases, especially with the people who he is allied with. So I don't know. What's that? What were you gonna say?
No, I'm just saying, I agree. And, like, I don't want to beat a dead horse. I just, I kind of wish we were moving in a real direction with the story right now.
I mean, we are, but I get what you're saying, because Coates kind of tends to, like, it'll start off this way and then it'll pick up a little, as the story progresses. But it might be too late for some people to kind of stay on with that.
Right. I mean, I'll use the Avengers book that we just discussed as an example. What was that? Issue 7 or 6? It was 6, right? So by issue 3, we kind of had an idea what was going on. It just took them forever because McGinnis draws awful, right? And in this, I rather like the art. It's Acuna, right? Acuna?
Yes, Daniel Acuna.
Right. I rather like the art. I think it's expressive. I like the coloring. I like the contrasts in the art. But I honestly can't figure out where the story is going. So maybe that's a good thing. Maybe, where, like you said, maybe there is a swerve built in the next issue that's going to take us through. I don't know how long this opening arc is, but maybe that's going to take us through to the final, part of this, opening story.
And I feel like the art in this, speaking of, is kind of part of the reason why I'm thinking it might be a swerve as opposed to, what we already know. But who's to say? We'll see or we won't see in the coming months. All right, Dirk, you want to throw something out?
Sure. Let's jump to Action Comics 1002.
Okay.
This is the continuing saga of Bendis taking over the Superman books. I will say that this is much better than the Superman 2 that we got, last week or 2 weeks ago? Whatever it was.
Oh, that was awful.
They're all talking. Yeah.
Oh, that was awful. Yeah, I remember.
Talkie. So at least some stuff is happening in this. There are some problems with the story on a logical level. Like a reporter writes a story and it's the headline on the front page, and somehow Perry White, the editor-in-chief, didn't see the headline, didn't vet the story, had no idea it was going to be on the front page of his newspaper. How does that work? But some of those like small issues aside, it looks like Bendis is at least going back to that idea of juggling the characters at the Daily Planet and all the stuff going on in Metropolis. So it's much more of a ensemble book, as opposed to just being Superman, Lois, and Jonathan, which is what it has been for, a long time. And even before Jonathan and Lois were back, it was basically Superman and Wonder Woman, or Superman and Lois. It really didn't expand much beyond that. So he's going back to adding in all of those characters back at the Daily Planet and, showing a lot of that day-to-day, alter ego stuff going on, which is interesting. So at least there's some interesting stuff going on. So story-wise, the overall story, I think, is still interesting in this, even though some of the little details in there are kind of an issue. But yeah, and also at least DC puts the digital code in this one, so you can still redeem it on Comixology and get your digital copy, as opposed to a lot of their other books that they're yanking them out of because they're suddenly afraid of digital copies now. I don't know why.
But they yanked them out of all of them.
So, but yeah, again, much better than what's going on in Superman. And I don't know if the fact that this is action and that's Superman, maybe he's treating it differently as far as the storytelling goes. And you do still feel like there's connected plots in between the two books, even though they might not necessarily be continuing from one to the other, but they still feel related. So that's good. So you may not. I'm thinking it's probably done so that if you're a reader that just picks up Superman, you can still follow everything. You're not missing key stuff for your particular story by not reading action, and vice versa. Yeah, so after that horrible Superman 2, at least I'm kind of back on that positive train. We'll see what happens in Superman 3. But if Superman 3 is terrible again, then I don't know. I may just have to jump off a bridge or something.
Oh, geez. I was going to say, well, it's probably good. Like you said, it's probably good that they have them both different, because why, if they're going to be the same, why have two books? I mean, outside of.
Well, and that's like with Batman and Detective. Detective has been the team book with the Bat family, and then Batman was focused more on just him. So action, dealing a lot more with the daily life of Metropolis, whereas Superman, but like I said, that last one was just not good.
Cool. 8 to 70, got something?
Let's see. I don't think I have anything else that you guys read.
Did you not read Daredevil?
Oh, I did read Daredevil. Yes, we can talk about Daredevil. Okay. So Mike Murdock is back. And spoiler alert, it's an Inhuman thing. And I like that that sort of got really buried. That lead got really buried in the story, and I was like, "Oh, that's what happened."
Well, yeah, I love the fact that it makes sense,
right?
Like, because at first you're like, "Okay, well, what for?" Oh, wait, there's one thing first. I think from the get-go that this book does an incredible job of giving you the backstory of Mike Murdock, but doing so while stuff is currently happening, instead of doing the 2 pages of him swinging across rooftops trying to get somewhere and having this inner monologue where he goes through his entire history.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, as dialogue is being said in the scene, then he relates it back to a memory of something, and that kind of helps to lay it out, as opposed to just being like, here's a wall of text, this is what happened, so you can get caught up. And I thought that fight was a lot of fun too, especially with, was it Overdrive villain?
Right. So they're in the bar with no name, and these like really B and C list villains come in and start a fight, because they're like, Daredevil's in the bar with no name, let's kill him. It's just so.
But as far as the Inhuman stuff goes, it makes sense. Like, the reason why the Inhumans are involved makes sense, because he asked the detective to help him figure out what's going on with Kingpin.
Right.
So the Inhumans being involved in the story makes sense, and then the power that's used to create this doppelganger makes sense within the realm of the Inhumans' powers.
Sure.
So even though it feels like it comes way out of left field, you had breadcrumbs there that you can kind of look back and be like, oh, okay, all right, so now it makes sense on how we got to this point.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Question.
Go ahead.
So for those who don't read Daredevil, who is Mike Murdock?
Well, we could spoil the whole thing. Because ultimately, Mike Murdock is a doppelganger that Matt Murdock made up, because at some point in the past, his superhero alter ego may have been found out by those closest to him, and he basically made up a fake twin brother.
Yeah, so he made a fake twin brother who he could claim was actually Daredevil in order to take the heat away from him, even though he was playing both himself and the twin brother. But then being the twin brother allowed him to do things and act in certain ways that Matt Murdock couldn't do. But then, of course, he had to eventually kill off the twin brother. Like, it's one of the Days of Our Lives, General Hospital soap opera thing that comes around and around, where after a while you're like, okay, this is pretty ludicrous and ridiculous. But the fact that they dug out this old storyline and made something fun out of it here in 2018 was, I think, another reason why I enjoyed it.
I'm almost sorry I asked, but okay.
No, but in all honesty, just as how PCN_Dirt described it, if you read this, you don't really need to know who Mike Murdock was, because it's explained in very short order, so it's not too difficult at all.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that just asking
Right.
this conversation.
It's not difficult to pick up, and as we were saying earlier, the genesis of this version of Mike Murdock, it just made sense. It was just kind of like a big surprise that was buried right in the middle of the book.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I'm enjoying this series, and I actually haven't read a lot of Daredevil in the last few years. Some of the stuff got so entangled. After what was the one? Shadowland. Yeah, after Shadowland, I kind of got fed up with it and stopped reading it for a while. So this storyline's been a lot of fun.
Sure, I think Charles Soule. This was always the book that Soule was gunning for. Like he had other books, but the point is, I think he always wanted to write Daredevil. So,
well, the lawyer wanted to write the lawyer.
Exactly. So he really got a chance to kind of spread his wings on this right now.
Doing pretty good on Vader also, but I didn't have a chance to read that this week. All right, cool. Well, we'll go with that. I'm going to throw out this one book, and I guess this is probably the biggest one for me. West Coast Avengers #1.
Okay.
I don't know if either of you guys plan on reading this or not.
I do.
Okay, well, one yes, one no. Gotcha. So, I mean, if the news cycle has kind of been kind of spoiled the thing that happened. Well, the one of the things that happened in it. But all I will say first off is I've already voiced my interpretations not with the book itself, but with a couple of characters that's going to be on the team. That would be Quentin Quire and Gwenpool, because I don't like neither one of those characters. But in the context of why they're together, which I'm slightly not crazy about because it kind of has shades of New Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not crazy about that part either, but we'll see where that goes. That said, though, this book was a lot of fun. I say in my notes, the team got put together in the most Hawkeye, or also Deadpool 2-ish of ways. There's like references galore, like a classic Saturday Night Live skit, or at least classic to me anyway, because I love that skit. Gets brought up on the very first page, and which ends up being the thing that brings the team mostly together, or at least for them starting to get the team together. And for some strange reason, well, that's not even strange. For some strange reason, Kate's the one to lead, and Clint's all right with this because, in fact, he's kind of hyping it up. They're doing this kind of, I guess, the Office style. If I guess that would be the one to say the Office style, like talking to the camera type thing in between every other page kind of situation, because they're getting the team together and they don't have money, so they have to do this thing to get money, thanks to Quentin Quire, and his reasons for it end up being clear as to why he's doing it, and not necessarily because of the team, because it's to help Quentin Quire, as he tends to do. But yeah, like I said, the book ends up being a lot of fun. There is a classic West Coast Avengers original team member that shows up in a different light. And a different height at that. But also we get introduced to another. I'm gonna go ahead and spoil this. We get introduced to another version of MODOK, or a different version of a MODOK at the end of this book. Probably the dumbest one yet, but then again, there's been some dumb MODOK characters, or MODOK type characters. But like I said, I'm as a fan of the West Coast Avengers, I felt compelled to check this book out, and
Oh my god!
yeah, you must have got to it. So yeah, that's a dirt bag right there if I've ever seen one. But yeah, like I said, I felt compelled to give this a try, and I'm gonna keep up with it for a little bit just to see where it goes. I don't know if they're gonna throw any other old West Coast Avengers or anything like that kind of situation in, but the way they're playing it so far has got me on the hook for a little bit at least. Like I said, Quentin Quire and Quinn Bull aside, I can slightly overlook that a little bit, but at the same time,
with their inclusion, this is always going to be a somewhat tongue-in-cheek type story.
But which brings to that point, because if you think about it, West Coast Avengers originally was already that. Like, this is an oddball bunch of some would argue second and third string Avengers together on a team sitting on the West Coast.
I was gonna say that's all in. Well, maybe not in retrospect, because if you look back on it now, it's like, well, Iron Man was there.
True, but yes, but it was not Tony at first. And trust me, I love me Rhodey, so I say that not lightly. But even then, like I said, it was Rhodey in the beginning, and then Tony kind of came back on the team,
right.
But still, that the majority of it still is kind of there.
Alrighty,
I enjoyed it.
Hey, so sounds like we're about to get into rapid fire. So
you can probably spin it up unless one of y'all got something.
I'll spin it up. One moment. All right. I guess I'll wrap up the few books that I have remaining. Amazing Spider-Man #4. This is kind of like I was referencing Flowers for Algernon, ish story. It's really more of a two halves are weaker than the whole type story, and that's where this story is kind of going in a predictable direction. It's got a lot of cool throwbacks though. Tri-Sentinel is involved in this, or anyone who was around for Acts of Vengeance back in the day with the Tri-Sentinel. I see PCN_dirt nodding in disgust, possible disbelief, and Roddy Cat cheering.
They're gonna do it again at some point. They are.
So they brought that back. That was pretty cool. And lastly, this week's Hunt for Wolverine book was Mystery of Madripoor #4. Spoiler alert, Betsy Braddock is back in her British body in this. But also, spoiler alert, Kwanon, the Asian half of Psylocke, may be back as well. So let's see where this leads. This is all going to be jumping off. These are going to be jump off points for the X books post Return of Wolverine. And that's it for me.
Alrighty, then I'll jump in here. We've got Flash #53 this week. We got Commander Cold. We finally get his backstory and find out how he became this special law enforcement agent of the future. We also have the Flash is now dealing with the Strength Force. As he's always been a part of the Speed Force, the Strength Force has now emerged and taken over the Trickster. So now he's got the ability to get really big and really strong, which can cause its own problems. And it leads to a confrontation here at the end where it looks like in order to save the Trickster from dying from the Strength Force, Flash may have to take it onto himself, but he may end up getting killed in one of two different ways with the way this book ends. So it was kind of interesting. We'll see where that's going. But it's also one of those where there's a lot of stuff happening in the background and a lot of small plot points that are heading all over the place in the future. So they're really doing a lot to build up a lot of subplots that's really good when you read this stuff and you see stuff play out over months and months and months.
All right.
We got Venom #5, which Venom gets some new powers. Venom we found out some more about the history of Venom, where he came from, what his alien race is like, how they can all congeal together and work as one, like unified hive mind. But then they find out that there's like this dark lord god thing over them, who's trying to control them. And so in order to fight back, the Venom symbiote that Eddie Brock has, it almost gets pulled in, but then it breaks out. And when it breaks out, it has its personality back. It can talk like a normal person. It can reason like a normal living being. And it also has the ability to do a whole bunch of new things, like sprout wings, and Venom can fly. So, but it plays off like it looks like the Venom symbiote creatures are more like Odo from Deep Space Nine. They've just been stuck in like this brainless haze, for so long. They've been disconnected from the source. So,
oh my God, taking it way back to DS9 lore.
Oh my God. Hey, we take every opportunity to bring up DS9 on this show.
Man.
It was the last good Star Trek, so I mean, you gotta. All right, we got Silencer number 8, and I'm still reading this. This is one that's gone from. Yeah, it was a series that I tried all of the new ones, when they launched, and a couple of them I've dropped. The Unexpected was terrible. Immortal Men was terrible. But Silencer is one that's gone from the, hey, it's in my pile, I'll read it Saturday, Sunday when I eventually get to it, to, hey, I just got Silencer, I need to read this now. Like, this is a Tuesday night, Wednesday morning book for me. So I really enjoy what's been going on in the story. It's basically Punisher as a housewife, which more or less has been done before in the past. Different writers and different novelizations and movies and whatever. But it's a lot of fun to see how they balance everything, how they play everything out. And it ties into the Batman universe. She's taking on Tala al Ghul and Leviathan. So it's neat to see some of the other corners of the DC universe get a light shined upon them. And there's a war going on within Leviathan for who's going to, maintain control. So we've seen the technological side of Leviathan. Now the magical side is starting to sprout forth, and you're seeing this war between these villains. So it's a lot of fun to see all that stuff. My final thing, though, this is fantastic. Bram Stoker's Dracula. If you remember, this was a Topps comic movie adaptation.
Comic. Oh my gosh.
And this was one of the big breakouts for Mike Mignola. This is what actually led to him eventually getting Hellboy. And I always loved this, even though the movie itself, you could kind of give or take in certain situations. I love the artwork. And this book, what they did is they actually printed the black and white line artwork. So it's great to see the original non-colored artwork. Although I kind of wonder, you look at it and the artwork isn't exactly clean, crisp black lines. So either it's an old scan that they blew up to oversize for this book, or they took the colored pages and tried to wipe the color out. But either way, the line art isn't quite as clean and crisp as you would think it would be in this printing. So I'm not sure exactly why, but some of this artwork is just so gorgeous. But they even got a hold of the inker, Nyberg. Is it Bill Nyberg, I think? And he had scans of some of the original penciled pages before he did the inking. So you can go and see the original pencils and the lettering, and even some of the lettering changed between pencils and print. So it's kind of interesting to see some of the differences in here, to see that artwork. And then on top of that, they even have some pages in the back where it's the original artwork that was used in the covers, and it's a photo copy. So you can see all the blue line artwork, all of the notes that are in the margins. You can see that he actually used some old DC pages and he put white tape over the DC logo and whited out the DC name on there and was reusing these old pages, these old pieces of Bristol board. But it's just really interesting to look at, when you can see the blue line artwork in the background of some of these art pages, and you can tell like what's Sharpie and what's a black ink brush filling in some of this stuff. It's just so neat to see those notes in the margins and all of the other stuff in the pages. So this is definitely, like, if I can choose this as my click of the week, as this thing, this is definitely it, because this is one of those things where, I could just spend hours just going through and just staring at the artwork on some of these pages, and especially with the color pulled out, and you just get to see the pure line work on some of this stuff. It's just so fantastic to see. So, yeah, this is definitely it's a little pricey. It's going to put you back 30 bones to get this hardcover, but it is a nice quality hardcover book. Nice sheen to it. So I definitely recommend it if you're a fan of Mignola's artwork. Oh, and I knocked on the books. Now my dog thinks someone is at the door.
Oh,
now he's barking.
Gotcha.
All right. Anyway, that's going to do it for me with the rest of my books this week.
Okay, I was about to say, I will go ahead and say that there's nothing stopping you from making that a click if you really wanted to. But hey, that's on you.
Then I want to, so that's my click.
Okay, well, there you go. Simple. And actually, for some strange reason, I thought you were going to go to another one. But that said, while I'm doing this, I will get to my last few really quickly.
Oh, yeah, I forgot I read that one, by the way. Okay, yeah. But it's all right. No big deal.
Okay, well, let's just still bring it up if you want to.
Okay, fine. You're going to push me into it, I'll do it. Everyone's favorite book. I know this is Agent 70 has been waiting for this book to come out, this series. He's been dying for it. Sentry number 3. Sentry is back, and he's better than ever. One of the things I've been saying. One of the things I've been saying about one of the reasons why this book has been compelling is because they've made Sentry into a sympathetic character. Jeff Lemire has basically turned the whole tale on its head and figured out a way to make Sentry, instead of being like this poser who busted into the Marvel Universe, actually makes him into basically this guy who's being a superhero is a living hell. And so what we found out at the end of the first issue is that this device has been stolen that keeps the Void busy in a pocket universe that the Sentry goes into every day in order to keep the Void at bay. This device has been stolen. In this issue, we find out who did it. We find out why they did it. We find out how they did it. And now it's set up for the confrontation between the evil masterminds behind it and the Sentry. So, okay. And the Void may end up being re-released into the Marvel Universe. So, but it's a good story. It's a story that really comes at you from places that you don't expect. And because he kind of has a free reign, like they pretty much told Lemire, like, yeah, whatever you want, like we don't care, just do whatever. He's able to do some fun stuff with this and really play with the characters, and like I said, turn everything on its head. So that's part of what makes it enjoyable.
Nice, very cool. I feel like I would enjoy Sentry more if they had set it up like the Greatest American Hero.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you lie to everybody, like, I mean, that was Bendis, right? That was his big thing, was he lied to everybody and said it was an old Jack Kirby character and came up with this fake history for him and everything. And yeah, and it's like, if you want to tell me that that's the story that you're using, that's fine. But when you lie and actually say, oh, we found this hidden character, and then it turns out it's just a bunch of marketing, that's when, that's one of the main reasons why people are going to hate him. But then you just basically make it a blonde-haired Superman and threw him in the Marvel Universe, and that wasn't really all that cool either. So, but like I said, now they've made him a compelling and sympathetic character.
Interesting. Cool. Well, then I will breeze through mine really quick. Teen Titans number 21. This is basically training day for the team as they go after this one villain called called Gizmo. They take him down really easily, but he left a little present for him that they have to deal with. And we see the team not necessarily getting along together, but I guess they might be coming together. Who knows? There seems to be something up with Kid Flash's powers somewhere in the midst of this. And in true Teen Titans / Titans fashion, maybe possibly, although I feel like this is not this might be a swerve, but one of the team may not be around for next issue, but they don't I don't think that's the case, because I don't know, at the very least they would have taken 2 or 3 other more issues before they start killing Titans off. So I don't know if they would have done it after like 1 issue, but we'll see. I don't know, it's weird, and it's definitely geared towards it's written like towards a more younger set which I don't know could be slightly off-putting given some of these characters. Let's see. Avengers of Wakanda Forever #1. So this is the last of that trilogy of Wakanda Forever books. One-shots rather. I guess it's not one-shots, they're all together. Regardless, you know what I'm saying. T'Challa showed up at the end of the last issue to talk down Nakia, which he ends up doing. Oh, Nakia, aka Malice. They end up going after the out of control mimic, whatever super adaptoid thing or that they're dealing with that the Dora had. The Avengers, or at the very least, Captain America and She-Hulk joined in the battle, along with everybody else who's been there, like Storm and Rogue and Nightcrawler, and then Spidey comes in at the end, and he kind of wraps it up all nicely and kind of neatly, and also gives could potentially touching into a character that has been the focal point of these issues. So. There's also was a reference to a reference to the Priest run, which this character actually debuted in anyway. So take that for what it is. Mr. and Mrs. X #2. I'm actually still relatively liking this book. So Rogue and Gambit still out in space. They run into Deadpool, who saves Rogue's life. I don't know how in the world he got out there, but it happened. But I guess he and Rogue's history, I guess it would make some kind of sense. But he's also a mercenary, and therefore he's out there getting the package that they're supposed to be protecting from somebody, or basically shuttling somewhere. We don't know, because that's why they're out there in the first place. There's a little battle between him and Rogue and Gambit until an old Excalibur set of villains show up, and they call a truce, and end up getting away from that, but also have a mark on the head because of whatever this package is a highly prized thing, and people are coming after them for it. So that's where we kind of leave that book. But it's been kind of fun, so I may stick with it a couple more issues. Last book, X-Men Gold #34. After last issue, Aurora ended up seeing her parents again because Uvo, whatever his name is, presumably brought them back, which kind of not put her off, but had her stunned for a second, but didn't keep her from investigating what was going on in the village that she was where she was in or where she was from. She finds some stuff out. She confronts the villain. She tries to take him on without Stormcaster, which leaves her for some odd reason. I guess that's going to come back into play because, as we found out last issue, her Thor hammer came back to her for like a page or two, and then left her and then she didn't have it when this issue started. So that was kind of weird. But like I said, as we see in this issue, the hammer said, "I'm out," for some other reason, and she's stuck trying to handle this godlike being and a bunch of zombies running around the village. So, and some mandroids come out on the other side of that because Kitty and Yana are talking about what's going on with Kitty, and they just kind of threw that in there in the midst of the story. So whether they played at it with that again, we don't know. So yeah, that was that, and that is it for me.
All right, so I guess it's time for Clicks of the Week.
It is. And we already have Tim's, and that being Venom #5, as PC_Dirt holds his up, which is the aforementioned Bram Stoker's Dracula hardcover. I'll put that up. There we go.
There you go.
All nice and shiny. Yeah, well, that's his. 70?
Mine is Punisher #1 by Matthew Rosenberg and Sidransky. It was good. I'm very disappointed, though, that the Mike Zeck recolored variant cover was like a huge incentive, and like Midtown Comics had it like supremely marked up.
What was it, a 1 in 100 or something?
Something or something worse. something worse. So just kind of it's just expensive. So that being said, it's it was a good book. It's an interesting premise that the Punisher is trying to become trying to swim into more shark infested waters, as the case may be, maybe hunting bigger game. That's sort of the analogy. So
yeah, okay. So I'm looking at the Zek Hidden Gem variant, and it is 1 in 100.
Hmm.
They also had a black and white version of it, which was a 1 in 500. Wow. So how many stores do you think ordered 500 copies of Punisher #1?
I'd say that's a tall order.
So there might be like 2 copies of that variant out there in the wild. Like, maybe Midtown bought 500 to split amongst their stores, and some online guy ordered 500 to get the variant, and then to chuck. We'll see the other ones at like Five Below in those 3 comics for $5 bags.
Sure.
Not highly of that book apparently, but that's crazy. So anyway, last but not least, mine is probably no surprise at this point. West Coast Avengers #1. I had all kinds of types of interpretation going into this book, but it kind of paid off actually in some ways. Also, Land Shark.
Invite him in and give him Oreo cookies.
So you already had me with that one.
Oh my gosh. Alrighty. Okay, so I guess we're going to transition into the news. First, we're going to get an ad read in, and PCN_Dirt, are we bidding you a good night?
Yes, it is 20 after, so I got to get running. But
alrighty, take it easy.
Thanks for having me on, guys. I'll see you next week.
See you next week. Alrighty, so we're going to head into our first ad read of the night. First ad read is for Blue Apron's meal delivery service. Blue Apron. Fresh ingredients and incredible recipes delivered weekly to your door. Skip the grocery store and make incredible meals at home with Blue Apron. Always shipped free to your home. And now, the listeners of the KLIQ Nation's Comic Book Chronicles can get $30 off your first Blue Apron order. To place your first order with $30 off, and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcasts free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Blue Apron link and sign up for your first order. Blue Apron through cspn.us. Do it today. And now we head into the news.
And like we do every week about this time, we start off with the cinematic news. You want to start off?
Sure. Star Wars Resistance trailer shows off its anime style. So Star Wars' latest animated series, Rebels, recently ended its 4-season run, but fans have not had to wait for too long to get a tease of the details for the next show. So Resistance is going to explore what happens before The Force Awakens as General Leia Organa rallies the rebels to oppose the First Order. And we knew it was going to have an anime-inspired look. And after the trailer dropped, it shows off a red cell shaded look and fun, kid-friendly adventure.
I mean, yeah, it's gotten a little bit of flack for that style, but I mean, I think it looks good, and I'm pretty sure actual fans are, there are people who just want to grouse about anything, but are going to have some problems with it. But nevertheless, I don't know. I think it looks good. I'm looking forward to it. It's pretty much the same team behind Rebels and Clone Wars, so it's definitely going to be, it's going to have some good stories behind it. And I guess it's worth noticing that Poe Dameron's looks like it's gonna pop up, and so will Captain Phasma, and they're as the actual voices.
Okay.
So cool. DuckTales finally debuts Donald's twin sister Della Duck. You know, the duck that birthed the 3 kids we know as Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
Oh.
Yeah. Her, that long missing character that we never knew, that people were like, what in the world? Like, where did these kids come from? Whose kids are these? Yeah. So it is worth noting. So this article doesn't say that here, or at least I don't think it does. But yeah, so well, it does say that DuckTales canon that Donald and Delaware Scrooge's partners in crime. Which, if you've read the recent DuckTales book, a comic book, all ages comic book, you will have seen that in the first couple of issues and that's brought the only other place outside of when she originally came about, which was back in the 30s, or at least mentioned back in the 30s.
Mm-hmm.
According to this article, but she's never been seen or heard of again until the recent comic and this. So there you go. And if you've been watching DuckTales, I've heard pretty good things about. I've seen a couple of episodes, it's pretty good. So go check it out.
Alrighty. Recently published is a guide to watching every Marvel movie and TV show in the perfect order. So follow our show notes and click on this link, and you'll find this story that shows you how to watch all this stuff in order.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculously long, but at the same time, there are some people who would do this.
Listen, it accounts for everything that's there
so far, up until actually, I think it does. Yeah, up until, according to this, Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Nice.
There you go. The official Black Panther remix soundtrack somehow improves upon reflection. So there is a remix album to the Black Panther soundtrack. I have not yet heard it, but according to this article, it's pretty good. Nice. Let's see. It features stuff from from what is his name, Goranson, who did the actual soundtrack. Oh, he remakes a couple of tracks off of the original soundtrack, and also work by DJ Doll, Wonder Girl, Ami Cora, and more. And there's a video to the cut Wakanda that is embedded in this. Actually, there's a couple of them. So go check it out. And is it on Spotify? Oh, you can. Yes, it is on Spotify. You can purchase it, or you can go to Marvel's Vivo channel and check out the tracks.
Alrighty, next up, the Black Panther movie team wants a Best Picture nomination from the Academy Awards, not a popular Oscar. So despite the fact that the Academy Awards has added a stupid new category that honors a popular film, Marvel Studios is gunning for Black Panther to earn a Best Picture nomination. As it should. Ryan Coogler's Black Panther became a full-on pop culture phenomenon and became extremely popular and was well received. So Marvel and Disney would not be happy with just a Best Popular Film nomination. They would much rather have the traditional Best Picture nomination.
Yeah, because the only reason why they made that award is to kind of try to placate people who think there should be a reward, but that's not the way to do it. Like, you've got 80 years worth of categories here. And superhero movies have never, I believe, may have gotten a nod once or twice, but have never won.
Mm-hmm.
And this is Hollywood's way of being Hollywood still.
No, because they just want to, let these superhero movies have their own category. This is why the animated films got their own category.
I think that's still different though, because I feel like they're putting this, like, I think rich crazy Asians would probably have the same issue and would be in the same category if this was to fly. This is my personal thinking. Like, it's basically the placate and not actually do what they should be doing, because look, most of those movies are probably, I haven't seen Rich Crazy Asians yet, so I don't know, but still I've heard the buzz about it. It's probably actually as good as people saying that they are.
Right.
But
ultimately
that they already have, instead of trying to make one to kind of we don't want to put this over here.
Right. But ultimately, it is very much like the animated movie category, because if you recall, they put Beauty and the Beast. They nominated Beauty and the Beast, and that could have been, I'm referring specifically to the animated version. And once that kind of invaded its way into the Best Pictures talk, they're like, well, let's give the animated movies their own category. Let them live over there.
I mean, I agree, but I kind of disagree on that one, because I could see why there was a separation for the animated stuff. Let's put it that way.
Only on a technical level, right?
Kind of.
I gotcha.
So, moving right along. This is a star Ron Cephas Jones set for Venom. So y'all, Bobby Fish is going to be in Venom.
Huh.
Yeah, let your brains wrap beyond that. I didn't think he's playing Bobby Fish. So yeah, so Ron Cephas Jones also in This Is Us also plays, like I said, Bobby Fish in Luke Cage, the Netflix shows.
I was about to say he was also on.
He's been on a lot of stuff.
Oh, he was on a Netflix show. I can't remember. It's escaping me right now.
Oh yeah, and yeah, I don't know. So I feel bad because I thought he had just passed. I don't know why, and I'm glad that's not the case.
You're thinking of oh man, I know what the actor is on the tip of my tongue.
What I'm talking about though.
Yeah.
There was somebody that yeah, but anyway, well, while we figure that out. So yeah, good on dude. He's a pretty good actor. He's that man's all right.
All right. So the Jessica Jones television creator and showrunner is leaving Marvel / Netflix for a Warner Brothers deal. Wait. I think this is probably the best and most apropos sound effect.
It's a trap.
I'm not sure why, but okay.
It's a trap, lady. Get away from Warner Brothers. It's a trap.
That's probably actually fair. Yeah, that is probably actually fair. So yeah, so she will be leaving after season 3, which apparently, hey, guess what? Season 3 is going to happen of Jessica Jones.
Mm-hmm.
I wish her luck with whatever she's into, but yeah, I would probably agree with what you were saying. Batman TV prequel Pennyworth reportedly filming this fall.
Really?
Yes. Oh, and actually, wait, is this? Nope, I don't think I have it in there. So yeah, and they also started casting, looking for the person who will play a young Alfred, and I believe they got him, which I may not have put in the show notes.
Man, we are really digging deep here.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, hey, Gotham's version of Alfred would actually make for a pretty good show, because especially with the CIA background, or not CIA, but his
MI6 probably.
His Black Ops background.
Yeah,
makes for a good character to check out, because I think some people were probably saying that especially for this particular Alfred here. Actually, I would say deserves it because Doctor Who's son. Come on. Plays a pretty damn good Alfred. Anyway, so yeah, that's the thing. And
you're talking about Gotham, right?
We are talking about Gotham, but it's not going to be
that Gotham is on TV.
I mean, they're about to go off. Yeah, they're gonna. Their first season is it.
Oh my god!
I keep forgetting his name. Sorry, Sean. But yeah, that's the thing, and it won't be him as the lead as it should be. And I think that I can't remember the dude's name that they actually are looking into, or have already cast. And then, as you said, it doesn't matter.
All right, is it my turn now?
It is.
Legends of Tomorrow stars address the DC series' push for diversity. They have to address it? Come on.
I mean, they don't have to, but they want to. Hell, a mail comes out every other time somebody does something coming into the verse, so why not?
Let's see. They share their experiences. The cast is sharing their experiences because now the 4 programs have introduced audiences to LGBTQ characters while defying stereotypical gender and minority roles.
So, needless to say, all of this came out of the wake from the backlash of Ruby Rose getting.
Yeah, I was going to say the Batwoman stuff, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why they felt they had to do this, which is an important cause. So let us not undersell that. CW announces Arrowverse crossover dates, debuts the Batwoman signal, and I read that as like, wait, they're putting a singular in here also, but I don't think that's the case.
No, they're gonna have Batwoman's own signal.
But I thought of
the character of the signal.
Yeah, I'm like, that'd be cool, but still. So yeah, the dates are let's see, it's going to begin on The Flash on December 9th, Arrow on the 10th, and Supergirl on the 11th.
Okay,
there you go. Just 3 nights, because yeah, they have been consolidating those, and I still haven't seen the last one.
Anyway, next up, the Daily Planet's best reporter is joining the next Arrowverse crossover. So it's a bird, it's a plane, it's the Daily Planet's #1 reporter who's been a pain in Cat Grant's behind for multiple years, for multiple seasons of Supergirl, despite never actually appearing on screen until now. So we all know who that is. It is not Clark Kent. The Arrowverse crossover is going to introduce one Lois Lane.
Yes. Yes, worth noting that they ginned up a little sister for her and Clark has actually showed up because the guy they're playing Superman has, obviously playing Clark also.
Right.
They're gonna have them together on that. But instead of being Hush Whispers, we're finally getting Lois, I guess. Interesting. Brendan Fraser is Robot Man on DC's Doom Patrol. So if you're watching the video, I just want to say this. If you're looking at the video and you see this picture that they're showing of him, and I don't know where this is coming from, but he looks like Channing Tatum. And probably should have been the one. Actually, I shouldn't say that. He was all right in the Kingsman thing, but
I watched that actually, the second Kingsman.
Yeah, he straight up looks like the Channing Tatum's character in Kingsman. So that was weird. But yeah, so he's going to be on the Doom Patrol series, which is I don't know too much about Robot Man. So I've seen people say that hey, it's perfect casting, but somebody's always going to say that.
I mean, I only have a very tangential understanding of the importance of the Doom Patrol, right, because they play a role in the formation of the rebooted New Teen Titans. So because of Beast Boy.
Mm-hmm. Right. So yeah, that's the thing. Next up, Hans Zimmer is set to score Wonder Woman 1984. Is this like Godzilla 1984? No, but anyway. You know what I have to say to that? I actually had the sound effect also. That's pretty good. Have you been raiding my PC, dude? What's going on?
Man.
Anyway, so yeah, Hans Zimmer, who I could have sworn said he wasn't going to do too many more of these superhero movies anymore, but he's also was going to get his money anyway because he did the theme for Wonder Woman. He did her theme actually, so I'm pretty sure that was going to come up in the movie regardless of whether he was doing the whole thing or not. But he's doing the score, and there you go. And no Miami Vice no Miami Vice theme has been heard yet in any of these. Enter a more phenomenal new era of Power Rangers with the first trailer for Beast Morphers. You're watching the video, just point out that none of those vehicles, maybe with the exception of one, looked so much like a beast. We're going to move past that because it's Power Rangers. So there's going to be a new Power Rangers show. This one being the first under Hasbro.
I'm like, shout out to William Bruce West.
Right. Yep. We may have some other news on that front also, but he may have already known about this. So yeah. That's going to be a thing. It's going to be on Nickelodeon in 2019. Power Rangers don't stop, y'all.
Alrighty. Next up, Anthony Michael Hall heads back to high school as Riverdale's principal. So Anthony Michael Hall is joining the cast of Riverdale for a flashback episode called, appropriately enough, The Midnight Club, as opposed to The Breakfast Club. Oh.
Yes. So Anthony Michael Hall may be a little slim to be playing Mr. Weatherby, but that's never stopped him before.
All right.
Nevertheless, Mr. Weatherby is here, which I guess he hasn't been seen. I don't know how many seasons it's been out already. There was also another story about the girl who plays Josie. She's getting her traditional red hair, or a version of. So that's the thing. I just didn't put it in the lineup. Buffy the Vampire Slayer's Allison Hannigan weighs in on reboots. She just basically says that she heard about the Buffy reboot. She said it might be a good thing. Hannigan playing the titular character of Willow in said original.
Okay.
If you did not know that already, I don't know if you have. Where have you been?
All righty. So,
What's next?
I'll tell you what's next, President Bartlett. Lock and Key drama from Carlton Cuse and Joe Hill is getting a series order at Netflix. And Aaron, Eli Collette, and Meredith Averill join as executive producers. So it's official. 4 months after Hulu opted to not go forward with its Lock and Key pilot, the project is going to be picked up for 10 episodes at Netflix.
You gotta wonder why Hulu didn't pick it up, but at the same time, I've not read the book, so I'm sure someone's happy about it. HBO officially orders Regina King-led Watchmen series. So, yay, Regina King.
Is that Brenda from 227?
Is Brenda from 227. Also, Huey and Riley from the Boondocks.
There you go.
So, yeah. And amongst other things, I should say, because, yeah, she's been in a lot. But yeah, so yeah, this is still a thing. We still don't know what is it. We know it's not going to be the canonical stuff. It's some kind of offshoot. But hey, like I said, good for Regina King. She's dope. Now we are going on to comic book news, of which there are a lot.
Okay.
So, Marvel Knights revamp revealed to be 6-issue series, which I did not know. Like, do we know whether it was going to be? Well, I guess we assumed that it was going to be a series of ongoings because it was a line back in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but I like this focus. I like this focus on a smaller series as opposed to multiple ongoings.
Yes. Yeah, because and half of the people in this already have books out, and which means they would, if they were going to do that. Well, that doesn't mean they would have, but they would either either stuck the Marvel Knights tag on the current books they do, which they could do, or do new number ones with under the Marvel Knights banner, like they did back in the day. So.
Right. So related to Marvel Knights number 1, it turns out that spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Where are you, Spoiler Bell? Matt Murdock has apparently forgotten about Daredevil in Marvel Knights number 1.
Guess it doesn't matter that you're Daredevil.
It doesn't matter.
Oh, we should go ahead and point out, by the way, that this November solicits for 2018 are out, and that's where we're getting some of this stuff from, as well as the places parsing this stuff.
And make sure you go through those solicitations so that you can inform your comic book store about what you plan on ordering, so that they can, in turn, formulate their orders and are able to get you what you need and not be short.
Exactly, and we were talking about that with a book that's coming up down the line in the news. That said, Daredevil and the Misty Knight, year 1-on-1. So in this year's, this year's Daredevil annual number 1, which is coming out August 29th, Daredevil and Misty Knight meet back in the day. Don't know why, but it's happening.
Okay. So
you probably kind of know. I think thanks Netflix. Anyway.
Next up, Marvel is unleashing Thanos' Black Order in a new series.
Shout out to our very own Tim Dog 98 for writing this. So yeah, the Thanos got his. The Black Order is gonna get theirs. And if you're watching the video, you can see the cover for the first one. It's written by Derek Landy and Philip Tan doing the art.
Nice.
Marvel is bringing back your childhood again in Iceman number 3. So, Spider Friends, go for it! And I wish I had that queued up.
Yeah, I was about to say, I wish I did too. I was just thinking that.
Yeah. So Firestar and Spider-Man are both going to be in November's Iceman number 3. It says here the reunion comes about after a blind date goes sour with the appearance of Mr. Sinister. It is worth noting also that this is the second time in 4 years that the Spider Friends have reunioned That's not how that word goes, but you know what I'm saying. I did on Twitter that they should just go ahead and make a ongoing of these characters. I would write it if you wanted me to, even though I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay.
And I feel like this line, because I think when I first read this, they didn't have this about, about the last time that they were together, that being Amazing X-Men #7.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad they finally put that in there. If they didn't, or if it was already in there and I just missed it regardless, because I was going to bring that up. I was like, well, wait a minute. So nobody's thinking about that one, huh? Anyway, next up.
Chicago's Eve Ewing will pen Marvel's Ironheart. So I am very glad that you put this blurb in here, because I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest. I thought Eve Ewing was 1, Al Ewing's sister, 2, Al Ewing's wife, 3, Al Ewing's daughter, 4, Patrick Ewing's wife and/or daughter.
Oh.
So when I read this, so here's the deal. So fangirling over Eve L. Ewing is a new pastime if you're an African American female writing in Chicago. Ewing, this version of Ewing, is an academic, a social media maven, a poet, and a playwright. And now she's adding Marvel writer to her resume. So she is writing the upcoming Marvel series Ironheart. Thank you for those blurbs, because I for damn sure thought this was Al Ewing's wife. Because David Finch's wife writes comics. You know what I mean? Like, there's like a whole bunch of husband and wife combinations in comic books. Walt and Louise Simonson.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, it's like you shouldn't just assume. But at the same time, I was right there with you.
Yeah.
Is she some kin to Al Ewing? What's going on? That but it wouldn't matter, because regardless, Ironheart is getting a book. It's written by a woman of color, a black woman of color. At that,
I think it's just the rarity. It's the rarity of the name. I think that gets us all.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, hey, at least you didn't say J.R. Ewing, but that's a whole other.
No.
People of a certain vintage will get that reference. Yep. Anyway, that said, let's see, they don't show it here. So yeah, this was an article mentioning that hey, we get a new Ironheart book, then Eve Ewing is writing, and we also get a look at which I am not crazy about, but I don't for some odd reason. I don't know, it looks weird. But yeah, that's just me. Regardless, I'm happy for this book, and I will be definitely going to order this book and put it on my list. And you should too, because see, the problem with books like this is people are like, oh, there's no sales and no, because they don't get pushed, and people don't get let known about it, and or you got places where people place or people don't know about it. So, and then we could do to kind of let a book like this, get out there so that people will know it. I am happy to do.
Remember to order it, people. Pull it. Put it on your pull list.
Yes, books like this live or die by that kind of thing. You can't just wait and say, well, I'll just wait till it gets trade or the first issue comes out. And by that time, Marvel will have said, you know what, it's not going to work before the first issue even comes out. They've done it with other books before.
Right. At most, you might get like a single trade if that's what happens. So, next up, Multiple Man. The new Jamie Madrox may end up being Uncanny X-Men's the relaunch's main villain.
So yeah, this is basically this is more at this point, I guess, for last week's Multiple Man, where some things happen. I don't remember if we talked about it. I do know, but I don't remember we getting that far into it. And
I was about to say this is a spoiler for me
because you still haven't read it yet, huh?
Yep.
Oops. Well, hey, guess what? That's the thing, and now you know. I would still say it's probably worth reading because they don't necessarily say that's the case, but you can see how they could get to this.
Mm-hmm.
And it definitely sets it up that could be the case. Next up, wait, did I skip one?
No.
Okay. No, that felt like I double clicked. Marvel may have just shown us Infinity Warp's disgusting origin.
We talked about this last week.
We probably did we?
Yeah, when we were talking about how, remember I was talking about how how particular characters get got and that's what the warps kind of come from.
Right. Also, Tim wrote this. That's not the reason why. That was not specifically the reason why I put this in, but I totally forgot we had talked about it last week. So there you go.
It's all good.
Speaking of, Infinity Wars naturally leads to Infinity Warps, which is a 2-shot. That's right, 2-shot. Put in there. So this November, superstar writers Ryan North, Jim Zub, Mariko Tamaki, and said Jim Zub already bring their game to a whole new level, along with the art talents of Natasha Butos, Francisco Herrera, and Osgur Yildirim. Sorry for I butchered your name. But how did a covert program of the Green Room create a gamma-powered Green Widow? What are the secrets of the siblings, Mr. Invisible and Hot Rocks, the Terrible Two? And can Moon Girl and Tippy Soar save the planet from the most dangerous threat ever? You'll have to pick up and find out. If that doesn't tell you what this is going to be about, I don't know what is.
Tippy Soar.
Soar, yes.
Anyway,
I mean, well, yeah, the whole.
Move on, please. Once I heard Tippy Soar, I was like, all right, that's it.
Oh wait, as opposed to the other warps ones, really?
Yeah, I heard Tippy Soar. I was like, oh my god.
So okay, who is Marvel planning to kill in Uncanny X-Men Disassembled? Also a Tim joint.
Alrighty.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Tim basically goes to and postulates, who could be getting got in the Disassembled storyline that is coming up, which we talked about at length last week, so we won't need to go into that.
All right. So the novel based on the movie Solo expands on L3-37's upload into the Millennium Falcon. I have not yet watched Solo. When is this coming out on streaming?
Probably in 2 months.
Okay.
I don't know for that for sure, actually, so don't quote me on that, but
we'll see. Well,
yeah.
Not streaming, but like digital download and
yeah, it should be like 2 months because the movie's been out for like a couple months already. So usually they've been hitting a 4-month window. But yeah, so yeah, this novel is basically going to, and I guess this kind of spoiled something into you for you, but I thought we'd already done that by now. So yeah, this basically gives a little bit more of a look as to what happens in between or after the fact that L3 puts herself into the Millennium Falcon. So there you go. Plus, it's another Star Trek novel, and I'm sure people will be eating that up. Next.
Let's hear you about that.
Pop Funkos for Marvel's Runaways are on the way. So Alex, Gert, Nico, Carolina, Chase, and Molly are getting the pop treatment. And
Did you watch Runaways yet?
I have not. Nope. I hear good things. I will check it out, but like I said, I'm going down the line and finish the stuff I hadn't done yet, which I'm sure by this time next year I will have finished.
I gotta try to watch Runaways soon. Okay,
yeah, I'm hearing decent things about it, so I definitely want to check it out. Kind of want to actually go back and read it before I do, but that's not required.
So,
anywho,
a judge has issued a restraining order to protect Stan Lee.
In our Stan Lee watch / moment.
Yeah, against the restraining order is against Stan Lee's business manager. So, or at least once described as Stan Lee's business manager. So yeah, that needs to stay in effect and protect Stan Lee at all costs.
I wish I could easily get one for someone that I know.
Oh no.
Yeah. Anywho, Variety reports that Kia Morgan, the 42-year-old memorabilia collector who in recent months have become Lee's gatekeeper, is prohibited from contacting or coming near the legendary writer, which I guess he's the one that they say was getting Stan Lee's blood and putting him in the memorabilia or something. I don't know. Yeah, after all of that craziness. So yeah, this is a thing. The Stanley Watch continues.
Moving on.
Hey folks, Black Panther Mondo has brought out, basically, let me rewind that. There are Black Panther enamel pins for sale or for pre-order at Mondo, that site that does posters and all kind of musics and stuff like that. They have pins out. somebody on this panel may have ordered all 3 already. I'm not going to say who that might be if that happened, but there are Eric Killmonger has an enamel pin, Okoye, and Shuri. I don't know if there was already a T'Challa one, but regardless, it doesn't matter. They're out there. You can go to Mondo's.
What you think?
Stop it. So you can go pick them up.
It's such a useful sound effect.
It does at times. But yeah, those are out there for pre-order. You can go check that out. If you have the show note links, which we should really put that in the show thing from now on. I don't know why we have never done that. But yeah, you can go or look up Mondo and Black Panther enamel pins on the Googles, and you should be able to find it easily.
All righty. Next up, so in important toy news, there is going to be a Black Panther Shuri figurine. Is that the 12-inch?
I believe so. The sideshow, yes, it's the sideshow. Yes, I believe it is.
Yeah, so the Sideshow Collectibles is putting out a Shuri figure. That's awesome. And there's going to be a new Dune tabletop game for those Dune fans out there that love sand and worms.
And the spice, which must flow.
That's right.
So yeah, there's a couple other things in the article real quick. So there's a Harley Quinn one. I think this is probably going to come up in something else. That aforementioned Doom one. And next story, Power Rangers. Please stop that. Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid brings your favorite show to tabletop life. So there is going to be a Power Rangers board game coming out. It was on Kickstarter, and it was done by Renegade Game Studio, excuse me. And it looks like it was back to 100%. So cool. Let's see, Power Morphicon, we had a chance to interview them about the thing. So yeah, so it is coming out in 2019, and it's is a 2 to 5 player game, cooperative experience, designed by the person over at Star Wars Imperial Assault, and based on artwork from Go-Go Power Rangers Dan Mora, with the book, by the way. The game will task players with defending Angel Grove from Rita's forces, and players will encounter plenty of fan favorite villains and scenarios during the campaign. Dear Hasbro, you could have helped out with this. And also, can we get the rules for the Power Rangers RPG out there? Thank you, Sifu Play.
Okay. All right. So DC Collectibles announced that some stuff is coming out in April of 2019. There's a list of the stuff here on the show notes.
Yeah, some bombshell figurines, some other figurines, Harley Quinn, black and white. White. Oh wait, yeah, there's a Harley Quinn figure from Batman, black and white. Some other stuff, and some just good stuff. But it's not coming out until April next year, so you got some time to save up. Sean Murphy, speaking of, Sean Murphy seemingly confirms Batman White Knight 2. So if you don't know, Batman White Knight was the, I guess it was an Elseworlds story that just ended a few months back. I enjoyed it a lot, wherein the Batman was a menace and the Joker was the one basically fighting against Batman on the side of good. I suggest you should go check that out if you're interested in a pretty good Batman story. And also for Joker. This is I would like to see this animated personally, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it looks like there's going to be another run of Batman White Knight. So I am curious as to what they're going to do with it, because they kind of, actually I can see where they could go with it, but they kind of wrapped it up relatively neatly. But although they did leave a thread at the end that they're probably going to explore. So
okay. Alrighty. Next up, DC debuts a Supernatural Suicide Squad Black in November. So, if you got one theme for your team, you're going to have to diversify and try to cover all the bases. So just like Justice League Dark, you have Suicide Squad Black.
I was about to say, yeah, it works for Justice League, so why not Suicide Squad? don't know. That's coming out November 7th. So that's a thing.
Alrighty.
And yeah, just like Justice League Dark, the mystical side of the Suicide Squad, I guess, will be represented in that one. So yeah, DC's Black Label, Batman Damned, gets a stunning variant cover from Jim Lee. I don't know why I put that there, but nevertheless, as opposed to the variant corner, you can see the video, you can see the cover for it.
Alrighty. Jim Lee, speaking of Jim Lee, shared real rejection letters he's gotten from Marvel and DC in the past. So, you know, God forbid he has to learn how to draw hands at some point.
I know, poor guy never caught a break. I don't know what he's doing with himself right now.
No.
I'm hoping he's doing all right though. But yeah, so that's the thing. I guess he did it on Twitter, and yeah, you can see him out there if you follow him, or if you probably already has. Bendis responds to criticism over action characters' derogatory use of autism. So apparently, in the book we talked about earlier, Action Comics 1002, he used the word autistic in a derogatory way, and he got called out on it by a fellow comics books person on Twitter, and he responded to it, and it looks like he's going to get the word stricken from the next few printings of and the trades of this issue.
Okay.
So he basically said words are hard. I'm sitting here like, you're a writer by trade, dude. Come on. Anyway, that is that.
Some cool news. Batman and a new generation of Outsiders are coming to DC Comics. I liked Batman and the Outsiders back in the day. There's some cool Alan Davis artwork in that book, and there's a reason why I bring that up. So, but yeah, it's pretty cool that they're reintroducing the Outsiders concept and incorporating some of today's hottest characters.
Right. The weirdest thing to me about this is I could have sworn that's what they were doing with Detective. I haven't been reading it, so I don't know. But I would check this out.
These are the characters that don't necessarily fit into the Bat family. That's why.
Right, but they are also in Detective, right? Because I know, like Black Lightning and Signal, I think all of these characters are actually, aren't they?
Or maybe that's where they're going to branch off.
Maybe. Well, no, Black Lightning and Signal are there. I don't know about Katana and this other person, or Orphan, aka Cassandra Cain. I think she might be there also, so I'm not sure. Either way, so you might be right about this. They're splitting off into this, and it should be worth noting that this is going to be a mini series, and we don't have a date for it yet. So just we know that it's a thing. Boom Studios closes the Firefly Big Damn Heroes box. So there's going to be a new Firefly #1 in November, and with that, they are going to put it looks like a loot crate, but I don't want to say it looks like that because it's a crate. But basically, a limited edition box set of said book with some signed stuff and some other stuff with it. We don't need to go into all of that. So if you're a Firefly fan, kind of like me, I don't know, even though I haven't read many of the books or the comics, you might want to check this out, Matt Wang. Just putting that out there. I don't know. Next.
Where are we now?
The second Boom one.
All righty. Boom Studios returns. Right.
Okay.
Boom Studios returns Cullen Bunn to the Empty Man.
Okay. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about the original run of this book, if there was one. So yeah, Cullen Bunn's got a new book. Sounds interesting if you like horror type things, I guess. But yeah, so folks, David Walker, Chuck Brown, and Sanford Green's Bitterroot is now up for pre-order. So go run, don't walk to your local comic book shop and pre-order this book if you want it to be around. Like, granted, it's on Image, and I don't even want to make that caveat. Dude, just go do it. So if you did not know, this book is about a family of demon hunters specifically a black family of demon hunters from back in the 1920s. And it looks pretty good from what they've said about it. and I'm looking forward to this. I need to go and put my order in. I will also point out that there's a couple of I don't think I put it in here. Yeah, a couple of covers that have been also released around the time, actually probably before it went on pre-order. One by Mike Mignola and Sanford Green's own, so you can see that if you're looking at the video. So yeah, go check it out, folks. But now we should be rounding the corner to the next page, by the way.
I gotcha. I'm up on it. So
All right.
I've got the next story, which is a Philly comic shop has been awarded $50,000 to open more doors. So Amalgam Comics and Coffee House, the brainchild of Philly resident Ariel Johnson, is spread out. Who's it? Lightfield and Roomy. But it's been selected out of more than 4,500 applicants to the Knight Foundation. Is Devin there with Michael Knight and April and Bonnie? Oh God. The 18-month-old comic shop aims to open the world of comics to an amalgamation of audiences. So this grant will help the store reach even more people. So,
which is awesome. So she's been doing. Hopefully, I want to get up to Philly and go check out the shop, because it seems like she's been doing some dope things with her shop. So good on her, and hopefully, we'll keep flossing, keep prospering. Let's see. Next up, Kevin Smith clarifies his Hit Girl arc won't focus on Hollywood predators. I think so. According to this article, it sounds like the arc he's saying is so he's writing the Hit Girl comic, I guess, or an arc of it, and I guess Millar might have said something. Well, here we'll just say his quote. First off, despite what Mark Millar said, my Hit Girl arc is not about Hollywood predators. It is about the making of a Hit Girl movie. There are no jokes about the Me Too movement, obviously, or even references to real world horror stories. Your whole piece seems to be predicated, I guess he was talking to somebody on Twitter about this who kind of asked him about it, who seemed predicated on that thesis. So now that you have the correct information, perhaps you can adjust accordingly. Oh, this is on Facebook.
okay.
So that is the thing. Next.
J.G. Jones is taking a break from art due to health issues. That sucks. He's announced that he's taking an extended break from his work as a writer and artist due to progression of his cancer. Hold on.
Myelofibrosis.
Hold on. I need to find the boo. But God forbid, I need to redo my Statler and Waldorf.
It seems more like an awe, but
yeah, no, I'm just like booing cancer.
yeah, absolutely.
Boo!
There you go.
There you go. So yeah, according to this, is like, yes, is a decision he said is due to his iffy health, and that is a lot easier than committing to a monthly book, which yeah, makes sense. If your health kind of may or may not be on the decline, and stay at trying to take up something might not be the best thing to do. Next up, so we wish him well and hopefully gets better or something, because cancer is not an easy thing to beat. The Center for Disease Control's realistic new comic about swine flu and a state fair. So CDC made a comic book, y'all.
Okay.
Yes, it is called The Junior Disease Detectives Operation Outbreak. Let's see. They have published it for free. It's a free graphic novel. And yeah, so it basically is set out on California State Fair, and disease pops off and some things happen. And I guess a set of young folks get their Nancy Drew Hardy Boys on and figure out what's going on. Yeah. Go check it out if you come across it, I guess. I don't know. Next up.
The Simpsons Quickie Mart opens a first permanent real-life location.
So
in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
I was going to say I am not going to go and check this out.
Is it relatively convenient?
It's like a couple hours away.
Oh no, that's not convenient at all.
I mean, it's not that. Yeah, you could do it. It's not. I mean, but hey, the border is like 2 hours away in each direction. It doesn't really matter for so.
Got it.
But nevertheless, yeah, it's not. I don't have that kind of curiosity to go check this out. Oh, but if I ever get down to Myrtle Beach anytime soon, maybe. Don't push it. I mean, don't hold your breath though. There's a video on here that I guess goes through the market and what they're offering. So I'm really hoping there's not an Apu. Yeah, that's the less said about that, the better. Because all I saw was like, okay, this is the thing, and it's in South Carolina. I see some problems, but it may not be. Some I'm sure if anybody goes down there and wants to send in pictures, hey, go by all means, send them. Marvel will set up Captain Marvel's MCU debut in a Prelude comic book, which at this point probably shouldn't be surprised because I think most movies have had a Prelude comic at this point.
Right.
So yes, it's also coming out of the solicits. So according to the solicit text, this issue will spin out of the events of it in Avengers Infinity War, which I have but never hadn't rewatched again. Star Nick Fury and Marie Hill as they embark on the missions that will lead directly to the arrival on Captain Marvel. Oh, in the MCU, that sentence read kind of funny. So I read that and I'm like, okay, well, I'm assuming this is before they went pop. and this is why Fury had the beeper. So
all I have to say about that entire thing you just read and spoke about is that you still haven't watched Infinity War now that you have it at home.
Nah, because things have been happening. I've been taking care of other things, but yeah.
I'm like, yo, you gotta put that.
On a side note, I was doing some stuff this morning, and for some strange reason, I thought about it, but I ended up watching Pacific Rim Uprising for some dumb reason.
Yikes!
Yeah, yikes indeed. I mean, it wasn't a bad movie, but it wasn't. It could have been way better. Anyway, off topic. Next up, we kind of already talked about this.
Yeah, the Punisher has apparently rid the Marvel Universe of a major Marvel villain. So we talked about it before.
Yeah, we're good. And this next one we kind of sort of brought up, but we didn't go into it. But all I will say, is that West Coast Avengers introduces a sexy MODOK. His name is Brodok.
Yikes.
You should check that issue out.
I plan on it, just not for that.
Yeah, not necessarily for that, but that's just a funny thing that ends up happening in the book.
Yep. All right,
Next up.
Savage World Thundercats this October.
Oh, so this is a line apparently from Funko of action figures. Says welcome to the blah, 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 blah. I don't know if this is like a line. I guess clearly this is a line, but so you see here you have figures not in the Funko Pop traditional style.
Yeah, I was about to say that's like the He-Man style.
Yeah. So you got Lion-O, Mumra, Slythe, Panthro, and it looks like they're the other, or no, I was gonna say some of the other Thundercats are also represented, but no, it looks like this is it, and this is gonna be out in October. I'm not sure how big these are. These don't look that terribly big, but you can't really tell by the thing. Like they're probably bigger than Funko size also, but we don't know. They could be standard action figure size. Anyway, as a thing, if you're a Thundercats fan, hey, there you go. You got some stuff. Waiting for the Chitara one. Exclusive behind the scenes video reveals the making of Shide's show's DC Comics animated series collection. So yeah, they're coming out with a bunch of statues from Batman animated series, Superman the animated series, Wonder Woman, and I'm assuming Justice League also, all in that style. So, and obviously, the stuff looks good. If you can see from the pictures here. So, and I'm pretty sure they'll probably be priced. I'm not sure. Yeah, there's no word on when they're going to come out or the price on them. But you might want to check out that video just to see what they got going on, because there's more than this that's just pictured here. All right.
All righty.
And
this to the end of the news, right?
Well, yes. but I wanted to bring up one more thing in that, and from the variant cover, in that Heroes in Crisis variants recount DC's misdeeds. So there's like a Death of Superman one. There's apparently Harley Quinn killed Booster Gold or something. I don't know, but yeah, you can see the Death of Superman cover. There's a Batman and Bane one where he broke. Apparently, somebody was taking shots right as he was doing it, right above him.
Okay.
So yeah, go figure on that one. And I guess there's a couple of other ones. But yeah, I don't know what this hero. Well, I guess this is going to be addressed in the said event. So just wanted to put that out there. That said, we are at the end of the news and therefore rounding about the end of the show. I do have, unless you have something also, I have a little show and tell.
I have a little bit of show and tell. I'm trying to think of the best places to showcase what I got. I unfortunately put some of the superhero t-shirts that I picked up, kind of redoing some of my superhero t-shirt collection at Connecticut's Terrificon, which is what I visited last weekend. It's way out in Uncasville, Connecticut at the Mohegan Sun Casino. It is not that convenient to get to from New York City. It's a bit of a drive. It's a bit of a backwoods drive. I'm not a fan of the backwoods driving. But I did see some old favorites like Chris Giarrusso, Mighty Marvels, Mini Marvels, and he did this great homage to the Secret Wars cover in Marvel's style that I'm going to be framing next to the classic Mike Zeck cover. The big draw for me at this show was Alan Davis, and I got Alan Davis to sign a couple of issues of Uncanny X-Men that he did, and whatchamacallit, and a page in the Heroes 9/11 tribute book that a piece that he did in that. So I got that signed, and that was the big draw because he's a British artist and he just does not come stateside very often. He's not a fan of conventions, so I got that signed. The one person I kind of missed out on was Nick Spencer. He had some family thing to do, so he had to leave early on Saturday. That kind of stunk. But I did get to see most everybody else. I saw Mike Zeck. I saw, just a few people that I really wanted to see.
Right. Matt Wang's on Twitter saying, "Where was Wang's invite?" Wang loves going to shows with you.
Sorry, man. I had to drive up to my sister's first, so that's why I wasn't coming straight from the city. If that was the case, I probably would have called you and invited you along.
Yeah, so he also said he loves Firefly, which I knew, and can't wait to read Boom Studios' new book. So, kind of figured. All right. So before we end the show, I have an unboxing of sorts because here's the box I got. That's kind of too long to put in the show, but sorry about the noise. So San Diego Comic-Con came and went, and Hasbro sometimes, sometimes they will put some of their exclusive stuff on sale after the show. Last year there was this one Optimus Prime Transformer that I never did get and I really wanted that one because it was cool. This time, and I think they must do Primes, obviously, so that would be the bigger draw to some folks. But there were 2 Transformers focused ones. Actually, well, technically 3 if you count the card game, which we've already talked about. But so those were on sale. Some Magic the Gathering cards were on sale, and a couple of and that Red Skull and Cosmic Cube that you showed last week was also
right.
As much as they're nerfed. Well, that's a whole different thing. I'm not going to talk about the laser thing. Anyway, to belabor this too much, I am going to show off the fact that I actually stayed up on the 13th when they put them on sale, and actually finally got both of the Transformers that they put on sale. So here is the Bumblebee one, which is the Corvette.
Mm-hmm.
It's Corvette. It also comes with 2 tapes, and yes, it's
Camaro.
Camaro, excuse me. Yes, I don't. Well, it's a car, whatever.
I'm gonna let that one slide.
Yeah.
Go on.
Roddy Cat knows not much about cars except for how to drive them. So yeah, so there is that one. As you can see, there's got a cassette tape motif, and there's actually a couple of them are figures that I don't know too much about. Actually, it's kind of funny because there's I guess there was a mixtape listing on the back, I guess, to kind of round out the whole motif. I don't know if there's anything like that actually on there. And as you would think, it is 80s inspired and Bumblebee focused. So yeah, it's called the retro rock guitar version. Anyway, that is that. Excuse me. Jesus. This is my first time actually opening this up, by the way. I decided, though I had this for a couple of days. Last one is this big honking piece of goodness called The Power of the Primes. It's Optimus Primal from Beast Wars. So that's, this is, I like this thing. So it comes with a couple of, well, it comes with this scepter here and everything you see here. And it also has a couple of figures. Oops. Other figures. Actually, wait a minute. It says collect all the Prime Masters, each sold separately, but I think it comes with 2 of them. So yeah, so it comes with 2 little figures, almost like headmasters type figures.
Mm-hmm.
They go somewhere. I'm not sure where they go. But yeah, so Optimus Primal. I love this thing. I hopefully will put this up some point somewhere when I have space. If you did not know, Optimus Primal, whose beast mode was a gorilla, but then turned into a jet later on in the seasons for some inexplicable reasons. But still goodness, and it's a big figure as you can see here.
Mm-hmm.
And that is that. And we are near the end of the show. We have
I was about to say that there's one thing I wanted to add.
Okay.
I did pick up some prints while I was at the show, and there was one cool thing that I did see when I went to see Chris Priest and Don McGregor at Terrificon. So they had this kind of cool poster from the Black Panther movie, and they each signed it to me, Chris Priest and Don McGregor, and I had a great chat with both of them. They were basically sitting like not barely 2 tables away from each other, and you could see the signatures there. And they talked about what they thought of the depictions of their creations on the big screen. So that was pretty cool.
Okay, nice.
So make sure to make sure that you go see them if they are at a con near you.
Nice. Matt said my camera wasn't working out. It seemed like it is, or it was. I don't know. I know yours kind of looks like it went out for a second, or something happened, but I don't know what happened. What's that?
I said I think we're back.
Yeah. I don't know what happened with that, but I will probably put pictures up on Instagram of both of those figures if you did not get a chance to see them on the show. But let's go ahead and ad read this so we can.
Last ad read for the night is for Wink, your personalized wine club. Wink is a world of wine delivered right to your door. From rosé to Cabernet to Torrontés, Wink has over 100 styles of wine to discover. Ever try an orange wine? Wink connects you to a world of exclusive wines tailored to your tastes and delivered directly to your door. Wink delivers 4 bottles of wine to you every month with free shipping. You can pick your own bottles or let Wink choose and match to your taste. It doesn't cost a thing to become a member, and you can skip or cancel anytime. And now, the listeners of the KLIQ Nation's Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy an exclusive discount of $20 off your first order. To place your first order with $20 off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us/wink. That's cspn.us/WINC. Wink Wines through cspn.us. Do it today.
Oh, he said my camera didn't show the Transformer, so here I will do this real quick then. But like I said, this stuff is going to be up on Instagram anyway, so it doesn't matter. So here's the Bumblebee. Okay, now it's trying to focus. So here's the casing of the Bumblebee one. Is what it looks like on the inside. It may not play because of lighting. There we go. That's a little bit better. And here is the Prime one. I might have had actually the camera set on you when it was.
Oh, maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, I don't know, but I know you went out for a second. And here's the Prime one.
Nice.
And there's the back, and there's the side, which apparently you can collect the little headmaster looking figures. So yeah, there is that. And with that, folks, we come to the end of another exciting show. We thank you, each and every one of you, for coming out. And we will invite you to come back to check us out next week, this same time, same channel. Well, at least at 9-ish o'clock, when we come to do this little thing of ours anyway. For that, I am going to say that agent_70 on Twitter and Instagram, PCN_dirt on Twitter, PopCultureNet on Twitter, and PopCultureNetwork.com and IDcomics.com. Tim DOGG98 on Twitter, the KLIQ Nation, that's DKLIQ and thekliqnation.com, also CB Cron on Twitter. And go check him out on CBR because he's out there doing some good works, getting the news out there for you folks. So go check him out, give him some views. And myself, Roddycat on Twitter, no underscore. I'm not like the rest of these cats with their fancy underscores. News Nerds Need on Twitter, CB Caps on Instagram, and you can check out my Reddit News Nerds Need if you so desire. You can find us here at podcast on the Coastal of the Podcast Network. That's CESPN.us. You also find us on Google Play and Apple Podcasts, aka iTunes and SoundCloud, and probably other podcast virtual places. I don't think we made it to Spotify yet. And shop.cspn.us. Merch, folks, for this show and other shows on the CSPN network. Go check that out and get some stuff and rep us. And with that, we come to the end of the show. Finally, we will be back next week because I'm pretty sure Movie Protocol is nowhere in sight until November-ish or something.
Not for a while, I don't think.
Yeah, we got a good while. I mean, unless somebody goes to see that Transformers the movie again in September, but so yeah, thank you guys for coming to check us out. Let us know how you like us. We are the Comic Book Chronicles, and we are out.
Hey.
Good evening, Rick.